How you doing? I'm excited as always to have you back for another episode of In the Sand podcast. I'm loving the support that we're getting, and I just appreciate you for giving me a little bit of time of your day just to come out and support us. I'm always excited when I got guests on, but man, I'm even more excited because now I'm 3 for 3 now. This is my third episode where I got a friend on, a colleague, but also a former player. So I'm excited, man. I've had Coach Hines on, I had Coach McLaurin on, and now I got my buddy, my friend, my golf mate, uh, Doctor
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Dawson on, man. And so I'm excited to have him on. So I gotta represent for my guy. Me and Dawson, we talked about this, and I say this every episode, man. The conversation that we had before we even started these interviews is amazing. And so we talk once a week, and that's more of a credit to Coach because man, he calls me, man, and checks on me. And he makes it a part of his weekly agenda, and I appreciate that. And I told him that, but I want to tell him publicly I do appreciate your friendship, man, and just being so
For sure.
faithful with that, man. You do that a lot of times, and my guy Coach Porter, man, he checks on me as well at Pila Hatchet. So it's good to have good people in your life. Now, Coach and I, we got a history, man. I've been knowing. We were talking about this, and I was thinking about this before the interview. I've been knowing Coach. I first met him when I was 20 years old. I'm 36 now, so you all do the math. So somebody on this screen is I don't know if it's me or Coach, but somebody is getting up there in age. But I
It is
love
you.
the guy, man. Very humble, hardworking, a people's person, and he always wants the best for others. He's going to always go over and beyond and make sure that he's going to make sure that the people in his life, the people who mean something to him, have everything they need, even if he got to sacrifice the shirt off his back. And I know that's cliche, but Doctor Coach, he does it on an everyday basis. So I'm not going. We got so many memories, so I'm gonna cut it short right there. But I'm gonna brag on them all through this episode. Um, Coach, Doctor, man, welcome to the show, brother.
Man, I appreciate you for having me, cause you ain't gotta pump me up or nothing. I'm gonna tell my wife and my funeral, make sure you speak though, cause you got some nice kind words. But nah, man, a part of me is a part of what you know what I'm saying, you instilled in me, of course, and a bunch of other people. So man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for letting me, for having me on. We talk every week.
We do.
Coach would say, man, I'm gonna get you on the pod. I'm like, Coach, man, that's for coaches, man. Hey, I'm listening, man. I love it. I'm a podcast person, but you like, man, I want you to come on and stuff like that. And you've been saying that for months, and I'm like, Coach, whenever is whenever, and I guess today was a whenever, and you said, let's do it.
Yeah, man. I had to have you on it, and I'm so appreciative, man, because you and a lot of people I know listen to it weekly. I know, obviously, my guy Justin Sanders, my brother, he listened to it weekly, and I know you as well. There's a couple more people that I know listen to it weekly, so I just appreciate your support, and your encouragement, man. And again, I gotta brag on you, and I do this all the time, and I feel like that old teacher that I used to have, or that old mentor I used to have. Every time they see me, they always telling other people how just great I am. And that one person that does that for me still is Miss Dawson at the high school association. Man, she was my teacher at Morton High School, man, and she worked at the high school association. And she represents for me every single time, and she's been supporting it. So hopefully she's watching, man. And I do the same for you. Anytime I see you, and I tell anybody, I brag on you, man. But let's go ahead and start down memory lane. Obviously, man, I knew I wasn't going to the NBA, and so I knew I had to get in something. I knew coaching was something that I wanted to do, and I kind of experiment with it with the rec lead in Jackson, which we didn't win any games, but that was some good learning experience for me. And then I knew that I wanted to go to Murrah High School, and I know I've been talking about Murrah High School and people who probably tired of hearing it, but Murrah is special to me, and so I knew I wanted to go back to my high school and Coach Arthur Brown, and I know he did a lot for you, and he did a lot for me as well when I played, and even when I wanted to come back and coach, man. And I asked him, can I come back and coach with you as a ninth grade assistant coach? And he was like, sure. And even somewhere during the season, he allowed me to start coaching in the actual game. So I owe a lot to Coach Arthur Brown. And Coach, I think I told you this, but most people don't realize this. Coach Brown and I fell out for a little bit, and it kind of happens. And we're
Yeah,
going
no, right.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Well, we may touch on it because it's a touchy subject on how we kind of fell out and the reason why we fell out. But I said that to say this: in any relationship, you might have some disagreements. But I think if you
Mhm.
sit down and if you have to separate yourself from a time and you all really sit back and think about what you all really mean to each other, and you realize that the whatever riff you have or whatever beef you have is really not that important. And we really we took the time from each other. We said some things to each other. We didn't get disrespectful to each other, but we did have some words that wasn't the most comfortable words with one another. And then he had his retirement party. He invited me, and I really thought about not going. But then I thought about what Coach Brown meant to me and the opportunities that he gave me. And man, we were able to chop it up. And to be honest, though, Coach, and I didn't tell you this part. When he talked to you, and I said, man, I need to reach back out to coach and talk to him. We haven't talked in a minute. We chopped it up. We were good, but I called him, and man, he said some encouraging things to me, which kind of really made me feel good. I said some things to him, and so, long story short, if you got a relationship in your life, and hopefully this helps somebody out, man, don't write that person off so
Right.
fast because you just never know. But coach gave me an opportunity to coach ninth grade. I had an opportunity to meet this great fella here. So, coach, again, kind of take us back to your ninth grade season, if you can remember back there, far just some things you can remember, and just us kind of being in that moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, ninth grade, I remember you coming in. I'm real. My memory, coming up, a lot of people who know me is shot. I don't remember names. I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember. I remember basketball.
Yeah,
So I mean, ninth grade for me coming up. Good to meet somebody like you because you would always talk about, hey man, I want the best, I want this, I want that, and at the time,
yeah,
man, I'm coming from, you know how it is. I'm coming from middle school, probably one, two, three of the top best players, but
yeah.
at Merle, man, it's a junk pot. At that time, it was a junk pot.
It is, man.
There's people coming from everywhere. There's people coming from everywhere. So,
It really
man,
was.
shoot, I think to this day, I say, man, we had the most talent in the world in that one gym. So, I mean, I'm a ninth grader, and you know how it is back then. If you ain't a future Danny Dozen, you ain't playing up. So I'm trying to play ninth grade. I'm just trying to hold my own. You know what I mean? I'm trying to hold my own. Trying to try my best every time I look. If I see Coach Fred's face, you need to be looking at me. I mean, that's just how it was. And then you come along, you start talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Start encouraging me about, you know, it's gonna be all right. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get that. And I mean, luckily, I did have a decent uh, 4-year career, Merle.
Mm.
But as a ninth grader, man, it was just about understanding that I'm not I'm not better than this dude to my left or my right. But I'm holding my own on this ninth grade team. I'm starting.
Yeah,
But let's get to the next thing and trying to be able to play on the varsity. And on the same tip, it's the same thing. You're in ninth grade. Hey, I need him to see me so I can play JV.
yeah,
JV. Hey, I'm finna go out here and drop 30 today so I can play varsity. And man, we were going through that little stuff when I was that age, man. I look back on it like, man, that stuff didn't even matter.
no, it did.
Trying to do that stuff in ninth grade, it didn't even matter. It was all about just improving
Mm.
and getting better. Which luckily, yourself, Coach Brown, and Coach Frick, y'all helped me get better, and I had a decent career out of basketball.
Yep. It's funny you said that, man. And your story is kind of similar to mine, and we're gonna kind of like hit different points of it. But I can't remember too though, because I remember being in ninth grade, and so you had to know Coach Frit, man. Anytime you did something, you would always take a peek over there and see Coach Frit looking. And Coach Frit, he's
Yeah,
so
you got to. It's everybody. Everybody does it.
always looking at it, and you know him, man. He'll glance and he'll look away. So you just had to make sure he was looking because you knew that he was looking, but he never let you know because you said it, man. Your ninth grade team, man, has so many talented guys, and we're gonna talk about that as we transition to your senior, your junior, senior year. But man, and I was thinking about this when I was doing this interview, and I'm trying to figure this part out. I was looking at, man, roughly from the early '90s and probably all the way. I know when you went back and coached at Murray, y'all played in a state championship game. Man, it was like that was a lot of talent. Like Murray had a run where plethora of players came through. And I know people might say, well, what are championships to prove it? Well, we don't have maybe 30 championships to prove it, but there's about 5 or 6 in there that kind of shows that. But it was just so many players in there. And I don't think people realize, and you said it, man, when you came to school and you came to 7th period, and then when they moved to blocks, man, you had to give your ball every single day because no lie, coach, you could literally be playing, starting. Man, 2 weeks from now, you may not even see the floor. Like it was so many guys in the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 11th grade, the 12th grade. And then, at that time, everybody from Chastain was coming to Murrah. And then, like you said, man, people were coming from all different areas. I know, like my 9th grade year, we had a guy from Peoples on the team, dude from Brinkley on the team, all of us from Chastain, Powell. So we had so many
Right.
guys, and it's just amazing to be able to see that. And I know Coach Washington and Coach Caldwell are there now, and they're trying to keep it in the road. But man, that was some special moments right there, man. It really was. And I was just blessed to
Man,
be a
full of
part of
talent.
be
Full
around.
of talent.
So
Full of
let's
talent. I'm the same way.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was I'm the same way, man. You look back on it, um, and I mean, it's a smaller version of what Jackson is now. You talk about the crime. You talk about just what these kids have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, I was a good kid. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And it was rough. It was rough. Like, man, it's some ball players. It's some ball player. I'm trying to be nice and stuff, man. Come on, you better come on with this. Come on and
That's
play
what
some basketball. So it took some adjusting. I feel you.
It really did, man. And I'm gonna talk about your 11th grade years because obviously, when I first coached you, I was a junior at Jackson State. Then I got my first teaching job, man, and I was excited. I wanted to come back to Murrah, and I was so excited. And Marvin Jackson, again, relationships again, he gave me an opportunity, and a lot of other schools weren't even giving me an opportunity. And I'll probably talk about that when I do my podcast. But he took a chance on me, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna get you in here." And I was so appreciative because I had went to the JPS teacher recruitment fair, and I went to a number of schools, and they was like, "I don't know if you can do it, or you look too nice and you look too kind." I'm like, I'm thinking in my mind, I just did student teaching at Jim Hill. Man, I killed it. I should be able to do it at your school. But they was like, no. And
Right.
I took that personal though, Dawson. I really did. I haven't told a lot of people that, but I took that personal, man. I guess I'm getting like Michael Jordan, but I remember Provine, they said, nah, you can't teach here. Callaway said it. Forest Hill said you couldn't do it. They would have hired me at Jim Hill, but they didn't have a spot. So I took pride in it. And I wanted to be the assistant coach. And I kept asking Marvin Jackson, I was like, man, I want to be the assistant basketball coach. He said, I know we don't have a coach. He said, man, chill on that. And the whole time I didn't know they already hired Marlon Dawson to be that coach. So coming in that 11th
Mhm.
grade year, coach, when we walked in the gym, coach, and Coach Dorsey said this too, we knew from the first day that was going to be a state championship team because
Right.
the guys that were in the gym your 11th grade year, man, it was a sight to see, man. We had everything, and all of that really came from your 9th grade year. So you had all those guys from your 9th grade year. Then you throw Dondrikas in there. Then you throw Q in there, and then Trayshawn Bolden comes over. Man, we got a state
Yeah.
championship team, and no lie, coach, that team could have went 10, 11, 12 deep. And so it was just
Right.
amazing for my first year to be a part of that. And me and you talked about this off camera, but I kind of want to talk about it a little bit too. Let's talk about the game we got eliminated that year, and we talked and
Yeah.
funny and coach actually brought this up, you all, and I have been thinking about it. We were playing in a basketball game. We were playing Greenville High School at that time. I think they had was it the North State? Did they just get rid of the North State, or was that still North State? I think it was still North State.
It was still that was the last year. That was
Okay,
the last year.
the last year
We
North
was
State.
up in we were in Vicksburg. I'll let you tell your version of the story, and I
No,
come in behind you.
yeah, because now that you say it, I'm actually getting the stories confused. I forgot about I got it confused. Your junior year we went to Vicksburg. Your 12th grade year we went to Starkville. There it is. So you talk
Hold,
about
hold on. Hold on.
go
You
ahead.
got it. You got it. The 11th grade year was Starkville. That's what we played in Starkville.
We played
My senior year is when we played in Vicksburg.
for real. Okay,
My
so
my 11th grade year when we played in Starkville.
yeah,
Um, I mean, coach gonna say what he gonna say. I blew the game. I blew the game. It ain't no if and buts about it. I blew the game.
Yeah.
But that was my 11th grade year. But I will say, those moments make you a tougher person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made me a tougher person as a basketball player.
Well, let me ask you this then. Why did you say you blew the game?
I had 2 turnovers in a row in the last minute. I would probably say the last minute. I wasn't a personal watching myself on film, especially back then. It was, wasn't no huddle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I had 2 turnovers in the last minute. Just not ready. I would say myself not ready. But I would have said before that moment, I would have said I was ready.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't. You know what I mean? My ball handling was shot. And I became a better ball handler. In order to go, I put it like this: if that moment doesn't happen, I don't play college basketball.
Okay.
I'll say that.
I like that spin on it. And this is how I saw it. And I like your transparency. This is how I saw it. I saw it as, again, this is my first year. So I'm at Murrah High School. We're in the heat of the moment. I see it. So we get into the moment. You got to think about it. This game is neck and neck. It's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So when the moment happens, the first turnover happens. We chilling with it because cause that turnover don't kill us. It makes it tough, but it don't kill us. The second turnover, it happens. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they took the lead or it tied. Or something happened in that manner of it. But in that moment, so you automatically go, man, this kid, boom, boom, boom. And this is the part I think about, coach. And I feel bad about it. I've grown so much as a coach. We allow, as coaches, all three of us, we allowed that one moment to almost destroy your confidence. Because
Yeah.
we didn't sugarcoat it. We tried to dance around it, like we tried not to say it, but you saw it. And I was like, man, I don't know if we handled it correctly. And I never thought about that until a couple years, but probably actually a couple months later, to be honest, because I had to deal with some situations at my school similar to that. And I said, man, I think we really could have damaged that kid. But one thing I did realize is this: you did come back that next year with a chip on your shoulder, because it was like the, as they say, it was like the shadow in the room. Man, remember what Dawson did last year? And I hated that for you. And I think that's why I wanted to invest so much you going into it, because I didn't want you to feel that way, because I saw a little bit of myself in you. Obviously, you were better than me, but I saw a little bit of you because me and you spent time in the gym shooting, etc. But when I go back to that moment, and I want all players to hear this, especially coaches, those 2 turnovers didn't lose us the game. And that's why I say Dawson didn't blow the game for us. And he knows that as being a coach, and I still call him a coach, even though he's a principal. We're gonna talk about that later. But he knows that he didn't blow that game, because if we count on 2 turnovers, then obviously he did do. But I remember in that game we missed a lot of free throws. I remember in that game we had players taking ill-advised shots that we know those wasn't for us, and we had a lot of lapses on defense. So, man, I like that. But let's fast forward to your 12th grade. You talk a little bit about that. It was a different year, man, for a lot of different reasons. But talk to us about that year.
So coming out of 11th grade, I will, like I said, that moment made me a tougher player. Didn't break me at
Mm-hmm.
all. At the only, and this is what's crazy about it. Just because you mature as a person, and every instance in my life, I've always been able to mature off of it.
Yeah.
But those turnovers came because I'm trying to get the ball to the best player.
Yep, you were.
You know what I mean? And if that don't happen, if I just take the mentality of I got it,
Mm-hmm.
those turnovers don't even happen.
Yes.
But the best player, Dondrigus Nelson, of course, at the time. Man, we was in the we was on the bus. We were just going around the corner to the hotel. He said, "Man, that's all right. That's all I needed." You know what I'm saying? Because that as a kid, that's how I was, and that made me so much better as a person, because once I got to college, I stopped caring about what other people thought. But when
It
I was in high school and growing up in Jackson, trying to be a ball player, you know what I'm saying? You trying to make something out of yourself. I care what people thought. But at the moment when he said, "Man, that's all right," man, we partied in that hotel room like, "Man, listen, you finna go to college. I'm coming right." It's like it just was like we had to let it go. We had to let it go. So mean, that kind of scratched it right there. I know you kind of said like, man, that could break a kid, but luckily the things went the right way. That didn't break me. I worked my butt off my junior year just to try my senior year, make sure I can try to have some offers on the table and stuff like that. But my senior year is what made me a coach, because we went from all the way up here to, like you said, man, this right here, this the team, this the best team I ever seen, to man, Jerry Dawson, the best player, Daniel Francis. Woo! Man, we suck. Yo, we suck. We
Yeah,
went from here to here.
yeah. Y'all wasn't
So my 12th grade year, what'd you say, Coach?
I said y'all wasn't bad at all, man. Be honest, man. Y'all would have core the team. Beyond the team was just the same, except for a couple, obviously, Division One guys who played at a high level. But y'all really was a solid team, man. I really think. Go ahead. We'll talk about it. Go ahead.
That's a good spot to stop. That's a good spot to stop. But I mean, Coach, yeah, we were Jackson good. Like we could, you know what I mean? We competed. We had a new head coach, Marlon Dorsey. But he made us so much. He made me so much tougher. He was one, like you said, man. We probably could have broke this kid. Man, he stayed on my butt every time I looked around. If I passed the ball wrong, drew the ball wrong, that's the same thing you did last year when you lost the game. You know what I mean? All right, cool. That's what I mean. That worked for me. So my 12th grade year, I was a tougher player. But I also had, and because you were there, it was some 9th graders. I'm a 12th grader, some 9th graders. Man, these boys can play. I think it was a 10th grader too, Josh Carroll. So we had Malik Hines, you had him on your show. Jacob Ivory, them kids were in the 9th grade, Coach. They were in the 9th grade.
Yep.
So we sucked. But I can't remember if it was you, Coach Dorsey. Coach Brown was still on campus at the time. I would go, you know how it was. I would go from your room to his room and just get knowledge piled on me. But it made me a leader. And Coach, we sucked, but we didn't suck. And you know what I'm saying? And I think that was because of my leadership. So that was able to make me into a coach. So when I went to college, like, oh man, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna go coach. And that's big for a kid coming out of Jackson, because a lot of athletes come out of high school about to go to college and have no clue what they want to do after college. You know what I mean? All they know is I want to play basketball. And for me to be able to come out of my senior year and say I want to coach basketball was big for me. Yeah, I still was playing. You know what I mean? I played in college and stuff like that. But to know that I wanted to coach was big. So, man, I'm just blessed through all of my experiences, man. That stuff, nothing would break me or nothing like that. Everything in life always boosted me up. If 11th grade don't happen, 12th grade don't happen. 12th grade don't happen, I'm not here right now. So it's a blessing.
I like that you said that, and me and you kind of tipping around the area, but I'm gonna go ahead and just address it a little bit. Be honest, your senior year, my second year of teaching, it really helped us both in a lot of different ways. And of course, we always keep it positive on here, man. Marlon Dorsey did a lot for my coaching career in a lot of different ways. He really did, man. I learned X's and O's from him. The motion offense that I run today is pretty much a replica of what he did. When he demanded, like how he was on you, like I demand a lot from my kids. Obviously, I do it a little bit different than he did, but his demand for perfection and his demand for hard work, I still implement that. The way he scouted, his scouting reports, the way he watched film, man, all of that is still very present in my coaching career.
And Coach, not to cut you off, when we came up, everything that he was doing at Murrah, we had never seen before.
Never, Coach. Never. Nope.
At all. We, man, all we do is go hoop. That's it. This man making us play defense in practice. This man, so I never had that. So for any of my players that's watching this right now that I used to coach, I didn't do that until I didn't do that until it was too late. But y'all had to do it.
Man, and coach, again, he not here to defend himself, but you right though. Me and you grew up under the same coach. Man, in practice, you knew what practice was gonna be. We're gonna do guard around. We're gonna do, I forgot what we called for the big, or how you did that drill with Coach Fritz. We're gonna do 1 or 2 drills, and we get up and down the floor. And it's so crazy, coach. This is crazy. Like I said, we never had a scouting report on any team. Never had a scouting report. Man, we never watched film. And I know this sounds bad, so I'm not knocking my guy. We never really hit the weights like that for real. We got in.
Oh no.
We got a condition in practice. But guess what? We still had a great basketball team. So Justin and I, we talking like we would have did all of that. We probably would have been one of the best of all time. But here's when I knew film was important. Before I met Coach Dawson, it was our senior year, Dawson. We were playing Starkville in the North State first round game. So we pull up on the bus. Starkville pulls up right beside us, and they on a charter bus. And charter buses got the TVs on there. So we chilling, we looking over there, and on every screen, obviously, they got our film on there. So we like, man, them boys over there were studying our film. And this is new to us because we never watched film. So, coach, the game tips off. Coach, they jumped on us 12-0. And we had to call a timeout. And we wasn't afraid of that moment because the year before, and I had to share this on another podcast, we were, in my 11th grade year, we was in the championship, was up by 20 in Biloxi, and we blew that game. But fast forward back to this moment I'm talking about, we called a timeout. Of course, coach inserts me into the game because my guy Mike, he's turning the ball over. But the reason he's turning the ball over because Coach Carter, great coach at Starkville, he had the film and he taught them boys, when this man makes this move, we gonna do this. And no lie, every time Mike made a move and turned around and make his traditional spin move, the boy would steal the ball, get it, and lay it up. And we so confused, man. At that moment right there showed me that other people were watching film. But guess what, coach? We end up still winning that game. We won a state championship game that year. We didn't watch one bit of film. So go ahead.
To cut you off, that was something that Coach Dorsey pointed out to me the year that he became the head coach after that blunder, my 11th grade year. Mm-hmm. He said their scouting report says when you got the ball in the back court, seeing 2 of them, and he will make a mistake. I didn't even know that about myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All I know is if it's 1-on-1, I can dribble you down. I'm going to set this play up because Dundrea's playing when he wanted to play the 1, he played the 1. When he wanted to play on the wing, he'll play on the wing. So I'm bringing this ball up. I'm finna run this play. By the time this play gets swung around, I'm going to be open to shoot the basketball. It was simple, but I didn't know that it was so much into basketball. I didn't know, man, if I bring the ball up, 2 people finna come at me like that. Nah. Didn't know that. Not just one specific person. Coach, people may listen to this. We had no clue about this type of stuff. That's what. So that makes me a better coach. I mean, as a coach, that made me better because I'm still a studier of the game. Yep. Even when I stopped coaching last year, I was a complete study of the game because all this stuff was new to me. I talk to some of my college teammates about this stuff all the time. I have one college team. We probably get into it. But like we were just the opposite. Yep. I was a hooper. He was a country boy. And we needed each other. Yes, and that made both of us better. Cause I ain't know about no film, cause nothing.
So, okay, people won't believe that, and you and I talked about it in too, man, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But man, like rest in peace to Coach Fritz, man. I know he's passed away, but he did things. I guess we talk about it now. He did things that people really didn't understand, and a lot of it is because he never spoke on it. He never defended himself. He never used any type of platform. But when I thought about it, and I've gotten older, and you talked about this as well, a lot of what he was doing really wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. And again, I know some people now still upset with the man. He did this and he didn't play me. And I was like that at one time. But when I became a coach, and when I started to coach and understand these things, it wasn't what it seemed. And I told Coach this as well before we started this. I coached with Coach Fritz 1 year, and I still had a little grudge or animosity about how my playing time went with him. And this is the guy giving me an opportunity to just to coach basketball. But after we had lost the game that coach is talking about, he said this, and I saw the frustration on his face because I didn't know it then, but he knew it. He knew that this was they wanted him out and they wanted to bring a new coach in, and that's when I really realized that Coach Frick was a human being, and he was like, man, because the coach, this job is a hard job. He said your life or your career is dependent on the decision of young kids, and you could just see the anguish in his face because he knew that the time was coming to an end. And that's when I really started to reflect back and say, hey, man, this guy actually a human being. I didn't necessarily agree with the things that he was doing, but as I became a coach, I realized he didn't do a lot of bad things as people made him out to be. So our former Murrah colleagues and players, man, y'all give Coach Fritt a break, man, because it wasn't as bad as it was. It could have been better, no lie, but it wasn't bad as it was. Now going back to Coach Marlon Dorsey, man, again, I learned a lot from him. It was a tough season that year. And again, I said I'll speak on it in a little bit, but hopefully I can get Coach on and we'll talk about it more because again, it's always good to hear other person's their side of the story. And I like to be able to give people an opportunity to defend themselves. But Coach, that was a trying season for you. It was a trying season for me. It was a trying season for Coach Dorsey as well with some of the things that transpired that season. So I'm not going to stay on it too long. But the point that I did want to kind of make is, Coach, I kind of wanted to see, and this is the part that I thought about and ran it through my mind a couple of times. When the incident happened, obviously, I never it was new to me. I didn't really understand what was technically going on in that manner of it, but I thought about it from my perspective, but I never thought about it from the player's perspective on how you all viewed and took the situation that was happening at practice. So, Coach, if you can just speak to a bit like how did you process it all? Because when B he talked about this, because a lot of times it was you being you, and people had to know you. Like it was funny to you, and we saw and so we saw everything, and we'll talk about that later. But it was funny to you, and when I look at that anyway. But people know what I'm talking about. But it was I can just remember you, and it wasn't you never took it as serious, and I don't think again it was just so crazy, man. And I hate that we talking all over and not telling details, but I want to be respectful to everybody. But it was different. I just want to hear your perspective on as a player from it, and then we'll kind of move on, and hopefully we can get Coach on, and we'll talk about it more in detail.
Yeah, definitely. Coach, I kind of had. Remember a few minutes ago, I kind of talked about like my senior year is what made me into a coach. Like
Right.
I was able to become a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and I can point out different instances, especially in college, where my personality would negate stuff.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm because at the moment when it was first going on, when he was doing it, it was a joke. You know what I mean? Like to
Well,
me, it was a joke
to everybody.
until it got serious when he did it to certain young men. It was a joke to me. So
Mhm.
as a leader, man, I'm trying to keep that. Even though I'm 16, 17,
Mhm.
18 years old, I'm trying to, man, I ain't got time. I'm trying to hoop, man. I ain't trying to sit there and worry about, oh, man, this on national news, this state news, man. Forget that. Listen, that happened, and not to seem like I was not even paying attention to anything, but it never happened to me. So it always was a joke. I was a senior. You know what I mean? It was always a, man, y'all better get yourselves in line or y'all daddy gonna get y'all. This was a joke. It
Yeah.
was a joke. So to me, I did realize, especially probably years down the line, that I should have been more thoughtful, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to the people that it was actually affecting, because it didn't affect me at all,
That's
because
real.
it wasn't happening to me. The only thing that I can say that I was doing as a leader was saying, man, let that stuff go, man. Let's play basketball.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize until years later that you probably can't let that go. Man, your face, well, blurred out, but you won't see in the end.
Hmm.
You can't let that go. And I didn't realize that as a 17, 18-year old young man, but I did years later. So I mean, like you said, Coach, man, to me it was something funny. It was a joke. It was an ongoing joke
Hmm.
until it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
And luckily, God does things in a certain way. When it wasn't a joke, that's when it ended. Like it wasn't like,
That's real.
and you probably got different perspective. It wasn't like no mayhem in there every day, and then somebody just found out. When
Mm.
that, the video that came out, that was it. That was that day. The next day it came out, and it was boom.
Mm.
And I think that was the peak of it. But I think up until that point, it was sort of a joke. But I didn't realize the severity of it until, until it hit.
Yeah, man. Like you said, I had always seen corporal punishment all my life, man, and seen it. So it was a part of my upbringing. So when it happened, that's why I was in a tough spot. But again, it was different, man. And we can say, man, a lot of I absolutely agree to this. A lot of things changed, man. A lot of relationships, a lot of stuff changed, man. And like I said, I learned a lot that year, man. I learned, man, federal lawsuits, man, and being tied up in that. And I'm gonna say that for my podcast when I get myself. But just going through that, man, as a young coach, man, I think Coach Fletcher said it best, man. It's something that happened to me that changed my career. And just changed my life, man. And I don't even know people even realize what I went through, of course, because so much attention was on Coach Dorsey. But man, because I was associated with him and I stood with my guy, a lot of things happened to me that people just don't really even know. A lot of my family, like I probably just opened up to my wife and my brother Justin about just some of the things that I just went through mentally with that. But it's again, that's a story for another day. But man, Coach Dorsey's a good guy, and I'm
And
looking,
Coach, I shared a story with somebody about it too, Coach.
for real.
I didn't realize this is when I realized it affected me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in college. I'm about maybe a junior in college. That's why I said, man, you going to Murrah Callaway. Malik Newman was the guy, when I was in college. He was the guy in high school.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I ain't went to a Murrah game since I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I didn't realize that like my senior year, like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm gone. And I went, look, I played around the corner. I still never went. I
Yeah.
still never went to the game. So I mean, and I still talk to Coach Dorsey to this day. We probably talk twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. We have a long, deep conversation. But I didn't realize, heck, I was kind of scarred. Like I just didn't.
Yeah.
That's a year that I just didn't enjoy. I always love basketball. It's just a year that, like, hey, it is what it is. Like, and it's because it wasn't enjoyable because of all the stuff that was around it. And I didn't realize it until, like, man, I don't go to Murrah games. Cause
Yeah.
I hadn't went to a Murrah game until I started coaching. Not until because my first year at Murrah, I was coaching baseball, and I didn't join the basketball staff, which is something we may talk about or whatever. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
man, I wasn't going to no Murrah game.
Man, it's be honest though, Coach. It's again, I got so much to say, but I agree, man. It's different, man. And I would just say this though, man. It was so many relationships that had to be repaired because it was people who was rolling with me when I played there, and then they would support me, and then man, it was so many relationships that had to be repaired, and still working on some of those to this day. And you just never know how a situation goes. So man, that's a deep story, man. So man, if I don't ever share, man, you got to come back on, man, and you got to interview me so we can help somebody else out, man.
Man,
But let's
look, it's so far in my mind. I didn't even think you would bring. I ain't even think about nothing like that when you started talking about playing basketball in Murrah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, man, we might chop it up after this interview is over with, man. But let's go this now. This is one thing I'm proud of you too. We were kind of similar in this matter too. I went to Bellhaven workout. I actually worked out for them a couple of days after my class. I started point guard Michael Johnson got killed by a drunk driver, and I really didn't want to go to tryouts that day. But again, my guy Coach Brown said, "Hey man, you need to get up there and go get a workout in and see can you get on to make this team." And that's the only reason I went because Coach Brown said I needed to go, and we had been working out previously, on some skill development stuff because I had went to Grambling maybe a couple weeks before to work out, and I went to Bellhaven, and no lie, I didn't want to, but I showed up, man. I played the best I've ever played, probably in my life, man. And Coach was very impressed with me, and I came back and I started to do individual workouts, but I decided not to go. So I was excited to see you play for Belhaven, man. So talk to us about just your Belhaven years. That's kind of where you and I kind of disconnected a little bit because again, I had went to Germantown and I was still kind of dealing with some of the stuff that we were just talking about. You went to college, man, and you did a lot
Yeah.
of great things in college, man, which was very impressive. And to be honest, I missed them years because I don't know anything you did in college. You know, I obviously went and did my research, but and then I didn't get to catch a game. Obviously, I know, man, you met the love of your life, man. You did so many leadership things. So share us about your whole Belhaven experience. And be honest, it's going to be a lot of my first time hearing it. So I'm just excited to hear about you playing college ball at the next level. I mean, at this level.
In college, so the Belhaven thing was kind of, man, a lot of, and people who know me, I always say, man, God did it,
Yeah.
or God's going to do that. And it really is that I don't try to just, force religion on nobody, but God does that type of stuff. Coach, man, I
Amen.
wouldn't study no Belhaven, man. I just wouldn't. It was, for me, me and my wife, we were high school sweethearts. My
Yeah.
wife said she going to Southern Miss. All right, cool. I got a coach up there at Southern Miss said, hey,
Yeah.
this might be a spot for you, but you're gonna come on. You're gonna come on as a walk on. Boom, that coach is gone. Oh, okay. All right, no problem. Coach is at Delta State saying, hey, all right, so I may go to Delta State. My wife going to Southern Miss. Hey, we gonna be all right. I'm gonna get out of Jackson myself too. I'm gonna go down to the Delta.
Smart.
That didn't pan out. All right, so boom, man. Ooh, well, we finna go to these workouts. We finna go to these tryouts. So we finna go around this corner from when we get done in the gym at Murrah. We finna go over here to Belhaven. And that's how it worked out. Tom Kells was the head coach at the time. And I'm thinking like, all right, this is where my head is, coach. All right, cool. None of that stuff worked out. I'm about to be the best player that Belhaven ever seen in their life. That's it. That's in my head as a 17, 18-year-old kid.
That's
That's in
not.
my head. I'm finna be the best player until and every time, kind of like you said, every time I step foot in that gym, coach, I would play good.
Yep.
I would play good, and I was like, man, this is this. I guess this is it, and I'm finna be the best player. Ah, that ain't how. That's not how it turned out. So again, coming from Murrah, where at the time we didn't watch film, we didn't lift weights, we didn't do none of the stuff that they do on the college level.
Nope.
I'm really at the bottom.
Yep.
Coach, I am at the bottom. I'm flat. I can be a great skill player, which I was when I was going to college, but I was at the bottom. Didn't play defense.
Nope.
I didn't take. I didn't do none of the stuff that other guys were coached to do. Just because I didn't do that type of stuff. We just weren't exposed to it. Did we have good teams? Yes. Did we have good coaching? Yes. But certain stuff and they coached to what they had. They had a bunch of ball players. If you want to keep them, and Jackson at the time, if you wanted to keep them in the gym, you better let them hoop. You better let them scrimmage. You better let it happen. You better let this talent play. So once I went to college, like I said, I met a guy. He coaches now. He coaches at Forest High School.
Yep.
The Todrick Peace. Coach Pinkston. Coach Pinkston is the total opposite of me. And he won a state championship. I want to say maybe his 11th grade year. Was a dog. We the total opposite. I could shoot it. My dribble was flashy. I had a flashy type dribble. He was none of that. All he was athletic. He was country. He was a dog, and you couldn't take the ball from him. His dribble wasn't flashy. It's a standard dribble. He got the standard package. But this kid was way better than me because he knew all of the other things. You know what I mean? And so were the other kids that played basketball there. So I'm thinking I'm about to be this, I'm about to be that, and it just wasn't that. It just wasn't that. So kind of fast forward in my career at Belhaven, that exposed me. That changed. That was a moment in my life that changed my life to where I stopped being prideful in college. I'm thinking, okay, I go to Belhaven. I should be this. Everybody in Jackson expect, hey, he went to Belhaven. He should be this. But I wasn't that. So that was a moment, and this is the kicker to it. This is God. It was a Christian university.
Amen.
So, coach, all I'm getting in class is a scripture. It's a Bible scripture. It's this. And that stuff changed my life, man. I'm sitting there getting these scriptures like, dang. And that stuff changed my life. So I stopped thinking about like what other people would think. Remember, I told you like I was okay because my big brother told me that it's okay. I stopped caring about what other people think. Like, yeah, I'm at Bellhaven. Heck, I ain't played but 5 games and the season over with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not playing. So I worked my butt off. Same thing going into my sophomore year. It was about to be the same results because you can't just turn on the switch and say, okay, I'm finna start playing defense. I'm finna start taking charges. I'm finna start learning these plays on the college level. It doesn't happen like that. But I stuck to it. And my sophomore year is the year. And this goes out to every kid that goes to a college. If you can stick to who you are as a person, stick to your academics, stuff will open up. Coach, my sophomore year, half of the team was ineligible. Again, this is something that I'm used to because that's how it was at Murrah. Man, we got all this talent. I can guarantee you 3 people that play my position gonna be ineligible. Then this is just how it was.
Well,
So that happens. Maybe I just go on all right, this is your time to attack. And coach, man, I had a stretch of a few games, man. I ended up breaking the school record my sophomore year. Just taking advantage of an opportunity, just a God given moment. Then after that, somebody came on the coaching. Well, he was already on the coaching staff my sophomore year. A guy named Coach Alex Ainsworth, and this is who Coach Ainsworth. He was about to go to Pittsburgh when you left.
yep,
Then he went to Park Lane.
Mark
Coach
Lane, yep.
Alex Ainsworth was an assistant coach my sophomore year and my junior year. And coach just gave me all the ropes. Just gave me all the ropes. He was the one who had me in the gym shooting thousands of shots while he was there until he started gravitating and said, "All right, you got this on your own." When it came to the offensive side, then he started my junior year. He started pouring into me on the defensive side, like, "Hey, you ain't, you ain't built to guard people like that." But he started teaching me stuff that I can teach my players. Hey, you're gonna guard this first step, you're gonna guard this second step. By
Yep,
this time, I got a 6'7" behind me ready to swat something. You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? So then I became a great help defender where I would lead the team in steals, and stuff like that. And that was all, like I said, that was all a credit to Coach Ainsworth. Like I said, my sophomore year pushing me offensively, um, to work out, get my shot. Yeah, yes, I was a good shooter, but it was so much more that I became because of the reps that he made me put in. And then after I got that success, he didn't have to show me the ropes anymore. I did that stuff on my own. So my 11th and 12th grade year at Bellhaven, offensively, man, I'm finna shoot the peel off the ball because I know for a fact I'm shooting more than anybody in the country. And luckily, my 12th grade year, I led the country in 3 points made and 3 point percentage. Just because of what Coach Ainsworth put into me and a mindset that I had to where I stopped thinking about where people thought I was, and I actually made something out of what I had, and I had to go actually put in the grind. And like I said, it was just the
Mm.
4 years away from what we were used to at Murrah. And that stuff made me such a better player. And of course, I took it on into coaching.
Man, coach, that's amazing. I didn't even realize that, man, that you had that kind of career, and I hate I missed that, man, because those were some legendary moments, just in your career. And like you said, I was at Germantown. I guess I was at Germantown all 4 years, I guess there. So I wasn't far. I mean, I was still living in Jackson at the time. So man, I could have easily came over and checked you out. So, but I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did. And because think about it, from that moment, from that game, into where you were into that senior, I guess I said it from your junior high school year all the way to your senior year in college. Man, look at how you grew as a person, man, as an individual. Look how God kind of intervened into your life. And so now that I'm saying this out loud, it makes sense that when you and I reconnected, I was like, man, I know this guy, but it's something different about him. And so like you said, I missed a whole 4 years of that development time because I just knew, and that's why I brag on you a lot, because it's so much good in you, man. Like, you married, man, you doing those things, man. You making sure your wife is everything is taken care of, making sure your daughter, man, every time I'm on the phone with you, you either getting off the phone with them or you making sure they are, even before this interview, you was on the phone with your daughter, man, just chopping it up. So when I saw all this, and I'm like, man, this man doing some major things, man, at an early age, man. So he even got married before I got married. I said, he got a head start on me. I need to catch up. So I just said, man, he doing some amazing things, coach. So it's good
No,
to
let me give you your kudos. Let me give you your kudos before you get off of that topic. Then I'll
okay.
give you your kudos. We talk. We've been kicking it for years now.
Yeah.
But all right, so coach, you came in when I was in the ninth grade in high school.
Right.
My 11th grade year and my 12th grade year, you were actually on the coaching staff as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
My 11th grade year after that season, this is huge. This is big for players if players listen. I gave my life to Christ right after this. So, coach, you remember, coach, every word that came out of my mouth, bop, 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 bop. You know what I mean? I'm my daddy's son. Every word that came out of my mouth is something that don't supposed to be said. But and I was able to realize that from coaches like yourself and other coaches that, man, something got to change. Like you can get more out of life. So after that season, I think if the season ended late February, I gave my life to Christ in April. So start thinking about like all of those little things that God started doing. And this was just a decision in my life. And like I said, God determined what college I was going to. God determined about the people that was going to get placed in my life. You know what I mean? So that stuff was huge to me. So for like the young kids, man, it's something else out there that you got to seek. And I promise it'll help out.
Man, that's a blessing, man. Again, I didn't know that either, man.
And yours. So the kudos for Coach Sanders. Coach Sanders was the person who man, Dawson, quit cursing, man. Quit that cursing. Dawson, you need to go to church more, man. You need to do this. Coach, I do go to church. Man, you need to give your life to Christ. Okay. I will. I will. So you don't even know, like you had that much influence on me. When it came to that, just being a man, that was a Christian that carried yourself that way is still influencing me to this day. And at that age, coach, because once I got into my profession, that impact that you had on me when I was a teenager helped me surpass so many things. Cause I'm just 30. It's old to me. You know what I mean? But because I did a lot. I've done a lot, you know what I'm saying, just in the profession about before the age of 30. So, man, so kudos go to you, and I appreciate you, Cole.
Oh man, I appreciate it, and I still preach that same message. I hope my players are listening because I tell them the same thing, man. They always, but hey, man, that means a lot to me. I remember that vaguely, but I'm glad that did something, and that's helping me a lot. And me, you talked about this before, just hearing other people's perspective from the things that we went through together kind of helps me keep my mind focused going into this new year about what's my purpose in being successful, man. So hey, I appreciate that, man. And I had this written down. I was writing this down, but I'm gonna say it though. I was happy that you was be a part of my wedding, man. Like that was major to me when I was going down my list. Boom, 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 man. I mean, your name came up, and this is the reason that I chose you because we had a gap where we wasn't necessarily connected. But during COVID, man, coach said, "Hey, man, come on and play some golf." And I never told you this, man, but it meant the world to me, man, because I'm sitting at the home chilling, I'm kicking it. I think I had just got over COVID, I believe. Was it COVID? I can't know because I had to. I had just got over COVID.
Yeah.
And so that was when I got married in 19. So we had already kind of chopped it up before, but to get a phone call from a former player and say, hey, man, come out on this golf course. Now, I'm not good at all. And I'm still not good. I mean, I stayed away from the course because I ain't that good, but I'm going to get back at it. But just to get that phone call from you, man, it made me feel happy and excited. And, man, I went to the store, got some clubs, got some shorts, some shirt, the hat. Because I said, I'm just excited that somebody think that much of me, especially a former player, to say, hey, man, join me on this lifetime sport. So, man, kudos to you as well. Now let's talk a little bit about coaching. I know we're gonna wrap up soon. Make it some good information, man. And we talked about this, and I told you, man, when the conversation get good, that time get to rolling, man. Talk to us about your coaching career. Now, obviously, you had a couple stops, and of course, now you are a assistant principal at Provine High School. And so, But I want to continue to keep talking about the coaching thing because there's a lot of great things that happen in your coaching career. So we gonna spend some time there because I don't want to miss that point. So, Coach, talk to us about going back to Murrah High School because I want to hear your perspective going back to a place where you laid your roots down. Again, y'all had a great season. Talk about. I know you work with. I know you work with Coach Fletcher. I know that. I don't know if I put his Coach Speech. Did you work with Coach Speech, or you was with baseball during that time?
Yeah, so I give you the story on the speech. That's gonna be year one.
Okay, go ahead.
So so Speech and Crew had won a state championship. I'm not sure if it was the year before I got there or 2 years before I got there. They had won a state championship. I want to say it may have been 2 years before I got there.
Okay.
Okay, and this is a God thing. This is one of the God things that I always talk about to people. I don't choose a job. I don't choose my role. I don't do that. God tells me, hey, to do it. I mean, that's just how it has it's worked like that
Yeah.
since probably college. As I got deeper into my Christianity. So
Amen.
Coach Speech, I go up there this summer, get the job. So I give you the breakdown. My college, my final college game, Coach, I'm banged up. I'm getting stem on my back every day. I got hands tore up, all this type of stuff. So I'm telling everybody, how young men are, man. I'm finna keep playing basketball. I am done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I'm done. I'm not trying to go overseas. I'm not trying to do nothing else to this body. I'm hurting. So I go on to me and my wife get married right after graduation. I got everything I need in order to teach. But I don't want to, and this is big, Coach. I did not want to go back to Murrah. And I until now probably never processed it. Why not? If the way that it finished out my senior year, I just what I'm saying, like that was just something that I left in the past. So I never had any kind of reason to go back to Murrah.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I had got married.
Yeah.
I had everything. I had already started my master's because I was doing that when I was playing basketball. I had all I had to do was find a school to say, hey, you can come teach here. We get you a license until you're licensed. You know how every coach know how this stuff goes. All right,
Yeah.
so I go on over to Murrah. You know what I mean? I was working over at Bel Air, going over to Murrah. Not called down to JPS, Central Office JPS. So they was like, hey, these are schools that you can go to. Murrah was one of like probably 5 schools. Whew, I don't want to go to Murrah. Let me go over to Murrah and let me see. So I get there and I'm gonna throw this name because this lady is very important to me and my family, Miss Latanja Slater. So she was like, hey, you coming back to Murrah? I'm finna get everything set up for you. So I
Yeah.
go, hey, you want to coach basketball? You want to, you can talk to Coach Speech. You can do that. You Coach Speech, I'm sure he remember you, all that type of stuff. And I just didn't feel it. Coach, they had like 3 or 4 coaches on staff.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach, I am big. If God don't tell me to do it, I just don't do it. Like,
Yeah.
so this is the growth and maturity of me, because the old me would have been like, yeah, former player coming back to coach at his school. And Coach, they had talent. You know what I'm saying? They could have won a championship. Former player coming back to the school. 4 years later, joining the coaching staff, and it never just touched my heart to do it. So I did not join the coaching staff with Coach Speech. Love him to death. Coach Speech is a great guy.
Yeah.
Just didn't join the coaching staff because God, that's just some guy that he just never told me to do it. But before the school year started, they didn't have a baseball coach, so I just was like, hey, yeah, I do it. Luckily, had success, so that's just a little trigger. I ain't no baseball guy, all that type of stuff, but it was all about managerial skills, just being a leader, them same skills that we talked about early on. So that stuff ended up having some success in baseball, and Coach Speech heads on out. So
Yeah.
come in, and Coach Fletcher talked about it. He didn't even get the job at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So man, at this point, I'm like, man, I don't know what they're gonna do about basketball, but I would love to. I would love to coach. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I just finished this little baseball, little stint. Nothing to brag about at all. But like I would love to coach anybody who come in, and I'm gonna fill them out and see if that's something that I want to do, because I want to coach basketball. But I'm not sure if it's here at Murrah High School. Even though I played there, got much love, I'm not sure if it's at Murrah High School. I may be looking for somewhere else after I get into this teaching thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Perry Fletcher comes in, and another life changing experience. Kind of like how I talked about how you walk you walk that Christian walk, and it's good for a young man. He started teaching me stuff that I needed in my early 20s that kept me from just being a totally different guy. You know what I mean? It was just somebody that I needed, not just to coach with, but just to be around on a daily basis. Um, so Coach Fletcher helped me out with that. So that was my second year in Merle of teaching, but it was my first year of coaching. Of course, learned a lot from him as a coach, but it was about him saving my life as a 20-year-old young man. I'm 22, 23 when Coach Fletcher come in. Call party. I'm partying. I got the pass. Look, I'm partying Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I gotta get to work on Monday with the pastor. Oh, go! He done broke me down. At this point, man, I'm just man. Hey, at this point, you got it, man. Look, go ahead and teach me what I need in my life, man. So, that's what he did. That's what that year was for me. I learned a lot as a coach. Of course, I was more so player development. I can still move around. I can push these guys as hard as possible because I'm a few months removed from a college athlete. Forget the coaching side. Strap up. Let's go 1-on-1. Let's forget that. And that's what it was. And as that year progressed, he continued to talk to me about like, man, you got a knack for this. Oh, I'm like, nah, man, I'm finna be your assistant forever. Let's roll. Let's roll. I'm gonna be your assistant forever. I'm gonna be who I am. And it wasn't meant to be like that. And he gave me everything I needed to become a head coach at the age of 23. And that's what happened, Coach. It was time for me to become a head coach, but in a small amount of time in that 1 year with Perry Fletcher, he prepared me to be a head coach at the age of 23. And that was tough, and I still try to, I always try to put that off on other people too, is I'm going to do what I can to make you a great version of yourself. We can all be good, but I want you to be a great version of yourself, just by, the positions that I put you in and stuff like that. So that's my 2 years at Murrah.
Man, again, I'm learning too. I didn't know you coach baseball, which that's crazy. I didn't know that. And the year y'all had with Coach Fletcher that year, man, that was an amazing year, amazing run. I know you fell short to Meridian, man, but that was just an amazing run to be able to see kind of Murrah kind of getting back to that pinnacle of just being successful. All right, now you go to Morton High School, man, and this is really when we kind of merged back together, because again, when you second year of Murrah, we started kind of connect a little bit. Then you get to Morton High School, man, and it's crazy about this story because, man, because Morton High School had called me and asked me about where you think you a good coach. And I had a previous relationship with the principal. So I'm thinking in my mind, yeah, man, I'm about to put my boy Dawson on. He about to get this job. So I'm feeling good. And that's kind of where that pride thing come on. And you and I talked a couple years later, and he like, yeah, man, Coach Fletcher hooked me up. I'm like, who is this guy, Coach Fletcher? And so I'm feeling good, but I never told you this though. But I'm like, man, it kind of gave me a little humble pie. I got my boy on, but it really Coach Fletcher who did it, man. So just a small
Man, it
little
was a lot. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of people. I didn't even know until I got into Morton and kind of started figuring out, what they were about. And I still, because somebody, 2 weeks ago told me like, hey, yeah, Morton called when they were hiring you. Oh, how did that work out, man? I didn't even know you had a part of it, but yeah, it went good. You know what I mean? So I'm glad they did, call certain people.
yeah, I was feeling good about it. Man, I got my boy hooked up with a job, man. I was telling everybody. Then when I realized
So
who
I
Coach
appreciate it. Man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you was saying it, man. When I realized who Coach Fletcher was, I said, hey, that's all credit to him. But man, talk about the Morton days, man. Morton is a special place. I got to learn more about more. I got to learn more about Morton. Obviously, when you got there, I started to study Scott County, but also too when I was at Pisgah, man, we played Lake High School, we played Scott Central, Forest, all of those schools in that particular area, man. And you did a great job at Morton High School, man. I was rooting for you. Man, just your style of play and the way that you performed and your teams performed was amazing to be able to see. So I just want you to talk a little bit about just your overall Morton High School days. Talk about, there's some great people that I'm cool with today and you're still cool with today that you coach with. On the boys' side, there were some girls coaches who were there and that were great people. And we're going to talk about them a little bit. And then I kind of wanted to talk about our matchups a little bit because, to be honest, though, Coach, I'm gonna wait for it. But your matchups that I had with you did a lot for my career. Um, so we're gonna talk about it in a moment. But I want you to recognize. I want you to, because I know some people from Morton gonna be on here, and I like to recognize people there. So just talk about again, just your overall time in Morton High School. You can probably talk about some of your players, talk about your administration, the coaches that you had on girls and women's side. Because again, we still friends with both of those. With all groups of the people for
No,
real on both sides.
most definitely. I am gonna forget some names throughout this. So to everybody that had a part when I was in Morton, I appreciate you. Truly. But Morton was the foundation of Morton let me know that I needed to be in Morton, that it was going to be a good opportunity and a good time. So we talked about Murrah. Okay. So Coach Fletcher, like I said, prepped me to be ready. But in my head, I'm thinking this to be ready for Murrah. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, I ain't no dog eat dog person. I don't even, I ain't trying to go recruit. I didn't even think we were going to be successful because he wasn't recruiting. He was sending me out, make sure this kid come to this school. I don't like that. I like the grind. I don't like this recruiting stuff. You know what I mean? So, he wasn't from the area, so he could send me, hey, man, make sure you go talk to this kid. I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. So, anyway, I had an interview. He left. I had an interview for Murrah and Morton on the same day for the head coach position.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
of course, when I get done with both, they say, hey, we'll give a call back in a few days, let you know. Okay. I really felt that way from both of them. Morton High School called me back 3-4 hours later. Hey, we want to offer you this position. Okay. I was told to say, let me ask my wife, let me talk to my wife, and all that type of stuff. But I'm thinking like, and this is maturity. This is real maturity. I'm thinking like, this is what I'm thinking. Man, Merle, I'm finna coach Merle. Forget y'all. I'm finna go. So anyway, long story. Of course, me and my wife, we do talk. And man, I called him back about 30 minutes later, man. I just say, hey, for them to call me on the same day that we interview, and I knew some names that they had interviewed. For them to offer me a position at the age of 23, I'm not turning this down. I'm not turning it down. And that was a life changing moment for me because that almost took me back into that. What do other people think? Other
Yeah,
people will say, you need to go back to your home school, run some wins up, have a successful career at your home school. But hey,
nah,
like I said, gotta make those decisions. And man, it was like I said, I called him back in 30 minutes and I go to Morton. Okay. Boom. Morton had just came off a 30-1 season.
yes, sir.
So I'm knowing they're not losing everything. I'm not gonna be horrible. They're not losing everything. Everybody, hey, they got 2 returning starters. That's all I need. That's all I need. At the age of 23, that's all I need. 2 returning starters, that's all I need. We ain't gonna lose, but we ain't gonna win 30, but we gonna win 25. Because we won 6 games. Because we won 6 games my first year, coach. We won 6 games. And that summer before that season, we came to y'all. We only played at y'all place because once I got in there, I was like, ooh, this
Yeah,
ain't what it was looking like when I just saw this team in the Coliseum. We're
yes, sir.
gonna schedule at the end of the summer, coach. We lost to y'all. We lost to
Yeah,
McLaurin, and we lost to Lower Star. That was all I needed. Humble pie. Boom. That's all I needed. But I knew, I talked to coach. We were still, we talk, we still talk all the time now, but we was talking every day. He was like, hey, I went through the same thing at Morton. I went through the same stuff. And I appreciate him to this day because at that moment, I wasn't prepared for that. Like, hey, man, we lose. This team just went 30-1. This is a community. The gym floor is sitting under these folks. Man, what you did? And they really weren't like that first year. But they should have been. They should have they should have rolled me. They should have been on my head. Not only that, that was the first year we won 6 games. Coach, we won 5 games the next year. We lost the starters that was on that 30-1 team. So it was even worse. But that, and I mean, I tell everybody, you have to go to the bottom to go to the top,
Nah, you
because that's what made that Morton team was the 5-win season. Because we took more charges than anybody in the state. We didn't have a 6-1 kid.
right.
Everybody was little. So guess what we finna do all day long? We finna take charges. We gonna shoot some free throw, and that became a part of who we were. Yeah, I was teaching them that first year, but that second year, after I had a full year with them, they really believed, hey, okay, boom, we may win games, and our games were so much closer with a team that was worse. This team, my second year. Woo, I got a picture of them up there. Coach, they all sat in chairs for the pictures because they weren't talking. That's how they look. But that 5-win team set the foundation at Morton that we needed. And coach, I think the next year we almost quadrupled wins. I think we went from 5 to 18. Then the next 2 years after that, we were 25-win team. So, but it takes going to the bottom, and that right there set the foundation. I became very prideless, and at the time when I first got to Morton, my wife had my daughter, and she had my daughter on my first head coaching game ever. And I had, I missed my first game for the birth of my daughter. So that was a full circle thing right there. To what I'm saying, that's what really the combination of Morton and the birth of my daughter. My daughter to this day makes me selfless. You know what I mean? I had to. I used to be, coach. You know, coach, it was about Dawson. Forget the rest of y'all. It's about me, and that moment made me selfless. One, you know what I'm saying? Just being able to be broken down and more and go from a 6-win to a 5-win. Like I said, and of course, my daughter at the time made me a very selfless person to where, I mean, I didn't care what nobody said. Prideless, I didn't care what nobody said. I didn't care about what nobody thought. I know what's going to work. I have, I got the strength. I got the faith that that it's going to turn around. And man, it did. You know what I mean? It did.
Man, that's good to hear because man, you told me that when I had my daughter. You said, "Man, it's gonna make you selfless, man. You gonna see a difference. That you
Yeah,
love your wife,
absolutely.
you love your wife Teresa. You gonna love your daughter, but it's gonna make you see things differently." And I held on to
Yeah.
that, and that is true, man. And those Morton days were good. And I'm kind of writing some of these names down. Some people that were at Morton. I know Coach. I think it's Coach Dickens, and I know Coach Strong was there, and Coach Walker.
Yeah.
They were
So
there.
the coaches of the female team, when I first got there, me and Coach Dickens got there at the same time, and she was winning, and I'm
Yeah.
losing. You know what I mean? So at the time, we were close, and she would and I would learn from her. Cause I'm still a studier. Cause I still go up and Coach Washington practice right. I'm finna learn. I'm just gonna I'm gonna learn. Cause I don't care if it's the YMCA. I'm finna go. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna take something. I'm gonna take something from it. So I would sit there, step out of the office, watch practice. Um, after she coached 2 years, Coach Darius Walker came in, another good friend of mine. He coaches my daughter in tennis still. He came in, was able to just and he had some downfalls at Morton that I was still able to learn from. And we were able to talk about this as men. He was able to learn from stuff as a person, but I was still, sometimes in coaching, it helps if you learn from somebody else.
It really
If
does.
you can see somebody else's downfalls, you can help them. You can help
Yeah.
them, and you can also help yourself. Especially, I was seeing how the community and stuff and all that type of stuff was going. So then it came Coach Matt Wheelbanks my last year when I was at Morton. And Coach Wheelbanks, and I'll be messing with him about his dad. I don't think I ever told him, like, I wasn't a fan of Coach Wheelbanks because I couldn't beat his dad. So I couldn't beat his dad. And Coach Wheelbanks was in Union when Coach Luckett. Coach Luckett, congrats to Coach Luckett out there at Northwest Rankin. He was helping Coach Wheelbanks coach the girls. And Coach Luckett had the boys. And that was a team, like, that was a moment that broke my first year at Morton. Is we couldn't first and second year. We couldn't beat Union. Like, gotta be able to beat you. So guess what? Matt Wilbanks come in. Oh man, I don't even like Coach Will, but I ain't no person that don't dislike nobody, but like, I didn't know what to expect. Like, hey, this is my fifth year at Morton. All right, I'm a learn from him, but we gotta have a talk, man. We gotta we gotta have a talk. But nah, Coach Will Banks, man, is another version of myself. and the white skin, we clicked that well. Man, when I say just enjoy conversations together, enjoy basketball, enjoy life. Anybody that know me, like as a basketball coach, don't come to me about basketball as the first. I am a person. I don't want to talk about basketball until I'm ready. Until it's time to talk about basketball. I don't want to talk about a game. Like I don't want to do none of that. I am a person, and me and Coach Will Banks understood, and I won't say he understood it. It was natural. Man, we
Yeah.
didn't talk about basketball until it's time to talk about basketball. We talk about life. You know what I mean? So I appreciate him. But yeah, and also Coach Strong was an assistant and was at the middle school and stuff when I was there. Real close friend at the time when she was in Morton. We were both in the learning stage. I think she a few years older than me. We both were. She was an avid learner. I was an avid learner, even though I was a head coach. Because it's about learning. And we both would do that. We would talk to each other about certain stuff that we needed to be able to do further on in our careers. We push each other. She went to school. Of course, I was going to school and stuff like that too. So Coach Strong was good, and my assistant coaches when I was there more. That's big, Coach. I had my first 2 years. I had Coach Stephen Wade, coaches in Newton County.
Yep.
Coach Wade is a guy off the wall. He gonna come with some ideas that you have, and this is why I love Coach Wade. Coach Wade was one of those guys that interviewed for that Morton position when I interviewed. So coming in, he hate me. I'm like, man, I'm not from Morton. Man, I got to find an assistant coach and all this type of stuff. And I'm talking to the principal. He was like, hey, one of the guys that we interviewed was good. We just didn't go with him because we feel like we picked the right person. And I called Coach Wade. Oh, wasn't a great conversation at all. Yeah, Coach, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. It is what it is. You ain't got- but he ended up coming down. We ended up meeting each other. And all about his aura was, man, this is a 23, 24-year-old guy. Man, this ain't gonna work. But at the time, he needed to get into public school. He was coaching in the private school, so he needed to get into public school. So it was almost something that he needed. And once I kind of got there in coach, you know me, I'm gonna get what I want. All I need to know is the details. Once I got the inkling of he wanted to get into public school so he could start coaching. Man, I started because I'm a sweet talker. Man, boom, Coach Wade came on, became one of my best friends. Old gray beard, man, and it just meshed. But he would Coach Wade would I would tell him, Coach, you think so much, dear, like, yo, you a weird cat. But I like it. I want you to throw all of those don't save them. I need you to throw all of those ideas at me. But when I tell you I love it and let's implement it, take it the same way as when I say, Coach, I don't like that. No, you know what I mean? And he did that. And so all of those, Coach, we used to have slogans. When I was leaving out, was redoing Morton's floor. That's Coach Wade's art that he did for us when I first got there. Because we had rebranded everything. So Coach Wade was a vital part at Morton to when we talk about the foundation and the structure. And one thing Coach Wade would always tell me that really helped me so much was in those 6-win and 5-win seasons, Coach Wade would say, your program is undefeated. And Coach, that meant the world to me. He would say that after every loss. He would say that after any time I was like, man, this is not, well, I don't like this. I don't like this. He said, Coach, you don't have to change a thing. Your program is undefeated. Let's just keep on building off this foundation. And so those are some words that he put into me that let me know, like, hey, this stuff is right. We just not winning the games. Even though, I'm hearing it from other people, that stuff was big. Then Coach Wade, 2 years in it, he had the opportunity to go to Newton County. So then I'm left with finding another head coach. how am I finna get a head coach to come? Because the only people that knew Morton was on the come up was the people that played Morton.
Portman, yeah,
Because we came after your head. We sucked. We sucked. We were small, but we came after you. Oh, so nobody knew that we were about to be good. I had got a transfer in too, but he didn't even play. He didn't even play. He didn't even play. And Coach, I remember you was like, "Man, is the kid for the play?" But
yeah,
anyway, so I had to get another head coach. So Coach Wade knew of Trey Collins. That coach, he's the girl coaches. At Meridian, you interviewed Trey Collins. He had a little brother coming out of college, Chance Collins,
mm-hmm.
and man, when I met Chance, he loved me for what I was, but I love the fact that I got somebody that, even though I'm young, even though I'm 25, 26 at the time, whatever old I was, I got somebody who's gonna listen and go
Yep,
and that I can teach to go to war for me and my guys. And when he first came in, you interviewed Coach Collins. Coach Collins was, man, he was like I was when I was with Coach Fletcher. I'm
yeah.
gone out of town. I'm always busy. I'm 20. I just got out of college. You know what I mean? And luckily, God was able to allow me to be an influence in his life, and now, man, he gonna soar and do a lot of amazing things in coaching. So I appreciate Coach Wade and Coach Collins for coming in to be my assistants when I was in Morton, though. Huge foundation pieces, and Coach Collins was actually came in after the 6-5 win seasons, and we took off. You know what I
Yep,
mean? And then kind of fast forward into his career, I would always tell him, Coach, it will not be as sweet as
yep.
what you stepped into. And you know what I mean? Just to prepare you. It's gonna be rough. You came after some rough years, boy. You came after some years. I sat on the bench. Look, after the game, I was sitting on the bench.
If you
And
thinking,
my wife just come sit there, I just hold the baby, coach, like, man, Jesus. But it made me stronger though. It made me stronger.
man, those some good times, man. And all those individuals that, man, you just listed, man. I when we talk, I talked to him here and there. Coach Wade and I, we were in the same district this past year. And you are right, man. He'll throw some stuff out at you because before the game, now I think Coach Wade was trying to psych me out a little bit, but he was asking me, "Hey, man, what you think about this zone, man? Why you do this and this?" But again, I love Coach Wade energy, man. Coach Chance, man, he speaks highly of you. And I'm gonna say this, and I told Chance as well, just in case he's still thinking about this. You made the right decision to support your family, made the right decision to be in Madison, and it's going to work out. And I know you passed it, but just in case you not passed, I'm going to say it again. Will Banks, my guy, man. Will Banks is, and I'm gonna say this to Will Banks too. I went to Morton this summer, played summer league. I didn't get a chance to holler at you, Will Banks, but you my guy. We were getting drugged, and my kids were getting on my nerves, man. So forgive me for that one. But man, Morton was some good days, man. I'm gonna talk about Coach Bowie a little bit, and we're gonna jump back into your Provine. But I'm gonna say this though, and we're gonna speak to it a little bit. You're right. Morton was when I first got to Pisgah, and I keep it short. I kind of skip past the main stuff, but when I got to Pisgah, we had to grow the program, build the program. When we started to have a little confidence and a little bit of success, I knew that my boys were gonna have to play some people. So I came up with this thing. Justin and I came up with this thing, and I later told you about it. We said during Thanksgiving week we're gonna make that, I guess, our quote unquote challenge week. And of course, I didn't tell you that at first. So leading up to that week, we said we're gonna have to win some games, build some confidence, because we're gonna find some teams that are super talented, and we're gonna try to play them on the road and see where we are. So and we chose certain days we wanted to play. Like we knew we wanted to play Lee County, because we knew they were athletic, strong, fast, and a good program. So we said we're gonna play Lee County that Friday night. We wanted to play them on a Friday night because we knew the crowd was gonna be packed. We knew it was a hot lead into Thanksgiving. We wanted our kids to be in the atmosphere. Then we said going into that next week, I told Justin, I said I want to call Dawson, man, because I know Morton, they got a good team. And I said, it's not that far down the road. And I said, if our kids can just at least stay in the game with Morton, we're going to be all right. And he was looking, he was like, man, Dawson got a squad down there, man. Like, everybody on his team is much better than us. And I said, this is what we need. So a couple of years, we said we got to have Morton on Thanksgiving week. We wanted to be a holiday. We wanted to play at Morton. We wanted to be a great atmosphere. I want to see how my kids perform. And those were some great games. It was just good to coach against somebody who had the same respect and had good teams, man. And we were blessed to win a few times. Of course, Morton had the edge, but that did so much for our program because our kids said, "Damn, coach, you setting us up for this. Like you creating these tough opponents." But when we
Right.
played ball, win, lose, or draw, they had so much confidence that propelled us. And we had maybe a couple, I think maybe two 20-win seasons, but a lot of that came because of your team and Justin. So we appreciate that. Now on the flip side of this, people would look at Max Prep. Well, it wasn't Max Prep. They would look at SB Live, and they'll look on there and they'll say, "Dang, Dawson, like that game was that close between you and Pisgah, doom." And so what started happening is people started to scout us a little bit harder because nobody ever respected what we did at Pisgah. But when they saw us play more than it was a close game, so that kind of so we couldn't really sneak up on a lot of people anymore because they started to call Dawson. Because I know we went to a gym one time and they said, "Man, y'all broke it." At that time, we were 13-2, and my only two losses was against Morton High School. And the guy said, "Man, we trying to figure out how to stop y'all, man." I said, "The only two games that y'all lost was against Morton, but we ain't got nobody that look like Morton, so we can't even figure it out." And that was just some good times just playing you, man. So those I
Yeah.
missed them days, man. And I appreciate the respect because you were one of the first coaches that respected us. Like you, Coach Howell at St. Joe, because people would see Pisgah, oh, that's a win. You could just tell how we did it because after most games when we beat people, man, no lie, Coach, grandmothers have cursed me out. Fans have talked bad about me. People booed us, said we suck. And I'm like, because they said, "Oh, we lost they was using all explicit. Man, how the heck we lose to Pisgah?" Nobody gave us any respect. So again, I appreciate that because man, but that was on them. Like they didn't respect us. But when we walked out the gym, man, like you saying, Pisgah was doing some things. So I had some good times with that, man.
Yeah. And Coach, before you get off the before we get off the Morton, I don't know what you're gonna go into next, but to all the players that I had in Morton, I definitely have to say thank you because when
Yes.
I first got to Morton, Coach, I played until that football season was over with. We
Yep.
played
You did.
what we had. But everybody know, Coach, I played 5 8 graders. As soon as they became available to play, my
Mm,
first year I played 5 8 graders. The
yep.
next year they was in the ninth grade. Them same ninth graders finna play. No matter what grade you in,
Yep.
these young boys about to play. And no, some guys that were older, they had to sacrifice. Which was the same sacrifice that I had. I know you probably remember my senior year, my
Yes.
last game. I don't know if you remember this. My last game, I came off the bench. It was a playoff game. I hadn't sat on. I had come off the bench for 2 years at Merle because Dorsey, man, and it was just being realistic.
Yeah.
You've led this team as far as it's gonna go. You got some guys behind you that got a chance to win a state championship. And
Yep.
Coach, y'all did.
Yep.
They won a state championship. So I was able. So that always stuck with me as a coach was somebody has to sacrifice, but you have to be able to have that because you know me. I'm very relational. All my guys, they come to my house, they stay, call, all that. They of course now the new thing is the jokers want to send me some money on Cash App.
That's
Quit sending me Cash App. But if you don't if you don't build that relationship with a kid for when you get ready to tell a kid that I need you to sacrifice,
sacrifice. Yep.
you're gonna hurt that kid and some other kids. Like I mean, just going back to like how we talked about the charge thing. Those kids know I let them run me over in practice, but I need you to let somebody run you over in the game. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so I appreciate all of the players that I had at Morton. And I appreciate the parents because it came to a point to where, like I said, we were losing games where parents had to believe in me. You know what I mean? They had to believe that I was enough for their child.
Yep.
And luckily they started to see it over time, and that stuff takes. Cause man, that's a long 2 years. You win 11 games total over 2 years. It takes some faith and it takes some sacrifice. So I appreciate my Morton people for that time.
Yeah, man. You ain't got to tell me about them wins, man. Trust me. But yeah, you you had some great people, man. You like your bookkeeper and your scorekeeper, man. They were good people, man. Your administration were all
Absolutely.
great people, more in high school. Of course, just shout out Coach Bowie, man, who's there now, man. Kind of feel took in where you left off. So kudos to
Absolutely.
Coach Bowie as well, man. You know, we both got a relationship with him. Good guy.
Big Mo Maurice, that's my guy. That's another one of my golfing buddies, Coach. Come on back out there, man. Come on.
No, but see, man, I see this what discouraged me with Maurice. I said, man, I've been out there golfing with Dawson, man. I said I need to get some lessons. And he said, yeah, man, you need to get some lessons. I was like, so I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah. And so I said, who taught you how to play? I learned by myself. So I like, man, go on, get out of here, man. So I was like, man, but again, Maurice is a good guy, man. I talked to him a couple weeks
Absolutely.
ago at the clinic. Now, this is the thing that caught me, man. You called me and said, man, I'm going into administration. And this is kind of what we're going to wrap up, talk about it a little bit. You at Provine High School. And I'm like, man, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, you like basketball too much. But anytime anybody who knows me, I'm gonna say something out there, see if you catch it. But then I'm gonna listen to you, and I started to listen to your breakdown. I started to see what you were aspiring to be. I started to listen to your thought process. I started to listen what you was talking about, where you want your family to be, where you want your daughter to be, what's your future looking like. And I said, man, this man really about to give up basketball. And I told Teresa, I said, Dawson about to give up basketball. I said, he ain't gonna stay with it too long. And then I listened to what she was saying. She was like, he might want to do it. So then I just started piecing it together. And man, you have been excelling in that profession, man. And you got your Dr. Dawson. Again, you don't really broadcast it, but I want to let people know that you are a doctor, and you doing major things at Provine High School, man. And that's a rival. It's an inner city school that we had a lot of battles with. You had them on the floor as a player and as a coach, but now you're in that community, as they say, West Jackson. We all know that our city of Jackson, and of course, I still rep Jackson. I don't live there anymore, but my parents still live in Jackson, and I visit every week, so I'm always be Jackson through in and throughout. But they got challenges, man. And you on the administration side, I know you had some great people in Morton High School who allowed you to do some things, which I think is beneficial to help you be successful where you are at Provine. So, Coach, we begin to wrap the program up or the show up. Talk to us about your administration, just talk about your year at Provine. I know you just wrapped up your first year, so talk about that, and then talk about what you expect leading into your second year. And then,
Mm-hmm.
man, just talk a little bit about, I represent all athletics, but I know, Coach, talk about your basketball program a little bit. I know that there are some ups and downs in both programs, and we won't stay on it too long, but I do just like to shout out my coaches. So just kind of just talk us a little bit about Provine High School, man, and as they say, Ram City.
There you go, man. Cause I talk about. Cause I know you start talking about like what's like why like how did you end up getting to it? So, man, as I continue to do this, I don't think a lot of I spoke about this earlier. I am a person. A
Mm,
lot of people playing basketball and coaching basketball, they start thinking like basketball is who he is. And
yep,
coach, I've never been that person. You knew me back in high school. Like, of course, I was a crazy little kid, but coach, man, I'm bright. You know what I mean? And
yep,
I never wanted to be in a box. You know what I mean? So while I was at Morton, like I said, I came in and I took the job at Morton when I was 23 years old. Of course, my first year coaching, I was 24, but I came in at 23. I wanted to coach. That's what I wanted to do.
will do.
But throughout those years, coach, I had got a master's degree. I had finished my master's. I was finna finish it. So when I got to Morton, I finished my master's degree. All right, cool, man. You have administration. They talk to you about growing and all that type of stuff, and that's what I wanted to be able to do. Um, and then I ended up getting my specialist degree, and then COVID hit, and then that's what really clicked in me. Like, man, you got another step. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I got my doctorate. But that's there. But while I was at Morton, I started to see that I have a bigger purpose.
Mm,
And it's nothing racial at all. But Morton is split 30, probably 40, and then 20 Hispanic. To where my team had become where I got 15 guys, 20 at the max. You start talking about JV, where I have 20. young black men who love me for who I am because of what I do in their life.
Yeah.
But of course, outside of that team, I was able to merely influence other students throughout. But what students was I influenced? I was influencing other black young men and women.
Yeah.
But the white population, it was a yes, I love Coach Dawson, but was that influence the same?
Mm.
So that's where this West Jackson came into it. Where all right, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm gonna get my doctoral degree and all that type of stuff. I'm going to get into administration. Nobody, I like being a leader because you know what I'm saying. It's a natural thing for me. I get positive results. What's in my brain, I'm able to express out, and it worked for other people. That's the biggest thing about my leadership is whatever I'm giving you, whatever I can give you, is what you need. You know what I mean? So coming, the decision to come out of Morton to administration wasn't necessarily the decision. That last year, my last year at Morton was going to be my last year at Morton because of the influence that I was having.
Yeah.
And and then so what happened, Coach? This is what happened. Of course, I've always stayed in Pearl.
Yeah.
Pearl High School decides to call. You could have called 3 years later. I mean, 3 years before Pearl
Yep.
High School decided to call. We talked about this. Pearl High School end up calling. And Coach, I had been like, hey, if I want to go coach somewhere, I want it to be Pearl. You know what I mean? A team that looked like what Morton looked like when I got there. I want to be able to revamp what I see over at Pearl. So they call. And Rod Taylor does a great job over there. And at the time, I got the Pearl and Provine was sitting there.
Mm.
And this Provine thing happened to be where this administration position is open for you to finish the rest of the year. So
Mm.
that's another little God nugget. Like I'm gonna open this door because I know you don't believe. You will go there, but you won't go there over taking a job in coaching that you would want. So to be able to finish out the year was all I needed from God. Like, all right, they offered this job, you finish out the year. So, I mean, it made it sweet. And you talk about Maurice. Maurice was able to come over to Morton, and I was able to come over to Provine like after spring break. So I was blessed to be able to finish the school year up over here after having just coached at Morton. After we finished up in Morton, probably about a month later, I was over at Provine. So we finished the year out at Provine, so which led to my first full year last year. And man, all the things that I thought it was there, just being able to influence people that look like me, being able to help people that look like me. And at the time, like I was writing my dissertation, and that's what it was about: is being able to how to. And of course, it was about education. How do we get black men to do what we do, myself and you? So at the time, I'm very, very, and everybody who know me, I'm a pro black person because we have to be that way, especially because a lot of people don't feel like that they can become something that they want to become outside of athletics or outside of entertainment. So, man, end up coming to Provine. It was a godsend. A lot of people like, whoo, I know you wish you'd get back into coaching, and that would be due time. I mean, I could coach right now. Me and Coach Sir Dante Wash, we have a great relationship.
Yes.
But it's just as of right now, it's something that God has not even thumped me with.
Mhm.
So I just can't do it. I have other things that he's stumping me with that I have to do. And coaching part of it it's just not there. And like I said, that's not my decision. It's a God thing. So that's just how that whole thing came up. It's about the influence. Being able to make the influence. Coach, you know me, man. I'm trying to go reinvent another program. I wanted to see. Look, I'm like, man, okay, yeah, this is what y'all really want to do. But now you come finish out this year and all that type of stuff. So that's what led me to come on over to Provine.
Man, that's good to hear, man. The influence, and that's kind of what we want to display at the podcast is, man, being able to pick each other's brains. And you say it all the time, and I appreciate you saying this, that people are listening and something that you can say can help move somebody forward, because it means a lot to be able to help somebody. And you said at the end of the day, man, it's really all about the kids, man. So I'm excited to continue to see where you go from here, because again, it's totally different. And to be honest, I wish I would well, I hate to say I regress. It'd have been a good idea if I would have kind of pursued that during COVID. There's a lot of things that you could look back could have pursued during COVID, but I'm glad that you took that administrative
Coach,
task
Coach,
on.
this is what's crazy. This is what's crazy. I didn't do it during COVID. I had got my specialist degree before COVID, and
Yeah,
it sat on me so tough that. And the reason why I did it is because my grandma passed. She had lupus. She was becoming a doctor before she had got diagnosed with lupus. So once my grandma passed, it kind of gave me that last little nugget to say, hey, go get your doctoral degree, because you can do it, and it's gonna influence a lot of other people by
yeah,
you doing it. So that's when you say I don't really be, hey, you ain't got to call me no doctor, nothing. It's because I didn't really, I did it for myself, of course, but it's so many other reasons why I did it that you don't have to, you don't have to do that. You don't have, saying you don't have to call me doctor. But coach, when I say you and other people kind of just led to that, to who I am, I have to, coach. I would feel crazy if I didn't influence other people. But what I was telling you, coach, was I didn't do it over the COVID whole little break. I guess you call it COVID break, and that
yeah,
sat on me, coach. That sat on me like man, what are you like? Just because you getting this off time don't mean like you should have been sick. And of course, I did a lot of stuff at the house.
yeah,
Did a lot of work. Still focusing on basketball. But that was a big push to like, hey, you for a year and a half, you didn't do anything academically, or you know what I'm saying, with your education, and you really could be done. So I said, hey, all right, cool. I'm
yeah,
I'm finna go back. I'll be done. I'll be done in a year. And when I this is what's crazy. And this was another reason why I didn't coach, why I wasn't coaching the past year. This is because I worked on my dissertation. So that was my game. That was my season.
that's true.
So that's how that all kind of played out. So the upcoming is wide open. I don't know. We'll see what guys say.
Man, hey, that's amazing, Coach. Coach, is a great interview, man. I can't I'd be remiss if I don't ask you this one question. So I'm gonna ask you your NBA all-time starting five. And then after you do that, man, I'm gonna let you take the last shot as we conclude the episode. But man, we've had a great interview. I'm excited about it. But coach, let me at least hear that part of it. Just to get a little bit. See, I know you still got a little bit of basketball in you. So if you gotta
Oh, coach, I
go,
got a lot, coach. I'm a study, coach. You know how many you see me pop up at these gyms this summer, coach. If it wasn't for my daughter not wanting to go, we'd have been in a bunch more games. She
no,
just ain't want to come all up.
no, I know you love basketball through in and throughout, man. So let me hear your starting five, man.
Coach, you got Steph Curry. He's got to play the one. Of course, he ain't gonna play the one, but
Mm.
he's the one. Jordan, Jordan at two. We ain't gonna even debate it. I'm gonna throw Giannis. I'm gonna throw Giannis at three.
Okay.
Giannis is gonna be at three because Giannis is a person. I ain't coach. Giannis, what he did that year that he won a championship was amazing.
It really was. It
You
was.
know, LeBron is the king. But Giannis, man, he take up with the whole floor. He can go, all the stuff that Giannis can do. So I go Giannis at three. I would go. I'm gonna go Timmy D at four,
Okay.
just because Timmy D gonna lead to championships. Timmy D gonna lead to the right stuff getting done.
Okay.
At five, who?
Mm.
At five, coach, I guess I'm gonna have to go Kareem.
Okay.
Kareem was a winner too. Kareem was a winner. He had something that you can't stop. And for all of my LeBron fans,
I was about to
I
say you
know, coach, you know I gotta say it.
you're LeBron off.
LeBron, LeBron could be the GOAT. But all GOATs have something can't nobody stop. And LeBron just don't have that. But that's just me. But I love all my LeBron people because I got a lot of LeBron people. But he just don't have nothing that people can stop. All right, go ahead, go ahead.
Hey, I'm gonna let it alone. I've been arguing, man, for years. Well, not it feel like years, but my assistant coach, Coach Stabridge, is I'm a Jordan guy. Jordan is my goat, but he just disrespect LeBron.
That's
So
right.
I'm shooting LeBron stuff at him all the time. But I'm looking at your lineup, which made me think of a basketball question, and I'm gonna get to your conclusion. But you got Steph Curry, and to be honest, man, in the beginning, when I first doing this interview, all I heard was Magic. No lie, these last few episodes, Steph has been overcoming Magic. Jordan again. Jordan was on everybody's list except for Coach Malik Hines, but he been almost undefeated on the episode. Then we got
That's because
Gian.
I wasn't around him long enough when he was growing up, Coach. I just had that 1 year and I dipped out on him. But he's still my guy, though.
Yeah,
Him and Lee, we cool.
yeah, man. Yeah, Malik good people, man. Got his own business and everything, man. So I'm just proud of y'all guys, man. Tim Duncan and Kareem. Let me ask you this. That's a good lineup too, Coach. It'll be hard to beat that lineup. I'll be kind of suspect on your shooting a little bit, but Steph maybe could take care of that. Let me ask you this. And I know this guy's nervous, and I would be too. Are you starting Chris Paul or you put Chris Paul on the bench? Because Chris Paul can only play one position.
Coach,
Golden
this is
State.
easy, Coach.
Golden State
Coach,
already
this
got
is
me
easy.
5 now. So that means I think I know
That's
what you're about
easy.
to say. But
That's
go
easy.
ahead. What's your answer?
Coach, that was very easy. I'm going to break this one down. Golden State best years was when they had Sean Livingston and they had a bunch of stuff coming off the bench that was just different from Steph and Clay.
Mm.
Chris Paul coming off the bench gives
Ooh.
them something different. The only thing that they do need with Chris Paul that I don't see them having right now is the pick and roll lob threat rim protector. You got to have it with Chris Paul. So until they get that, I'm still kind of iffy on it. But I think Golden State's best years, and because I'm a podcast guy, I even heard Draymond Green even said this himself. That we got to be able to switch it up, and I was like, yeah, that's what I've been telling people. Because man, Jordan Poole coming off the bench, he trying to do the same thing Steph doing.
That's
That ain't fit. Jordan Poole was successful because Clay wasn't healthy,
healthy. That's true.
fully healthy. He wasn't himself. But you got to be able to give something different to the game than what Steph and Clay give. You got to give a different. Somebody got to be able to come in and change it up, and then the defense got to be able to do something different. One thing you want to be able to do as a coach, I want to be able to have two things, not two game plans, but I need you to be able to stop two things. You can stop one thing, you can have me no matter what talent I got. But if I got that secondary, man, we good to go. And that's what made Coach, before I get off of Morton, that's what made my last year at Morton so it was because we shouldn't have been that good, but I had a ninth grade point guard, Jay Bowie, who will be in 11th grade this year. Came off
Yeah.
the bench. He was in the ninth grade. He gave us something different that we just never had. It didn't matter what I called. It was just something different. When he come off the bench, we're gonna get something different. So you got to have something different. I think that's what Chris Paul will give to the Warriors.
Man, you again. That's why I like you because you're a basketball guy and you thinking. You just not thinking basketball. So I never thought about the Sean Livingston. I never thought about that because that was pivotal. But this is why I have to throw it at you, and you know it, man. You a point guard. I'm a point guard. Well, I'm a point guard. You a shooting guard. So I got to pass it to you. And now I've always came off the bench. But for you to tell me Chris Paul coming off the bench, it's a power struggle, and you know that on the administrative side, you have to. I don't know how they'll do it, and I like your thinking, but I don't know how you gonna sit at the table with Chris Paul and everybody else and say, "Hey, man, we need you to come off the bench." I don't see. I mean, that's a hard conversation to have because Chris Paul is not your. He's not a Jordan Poole. He's not a Sean Livingston. He's Chris Paul. I like it, but to me, I put that in the same boat as telling Carmelo Anthony, "You got to come off the bench." That's just me.
Well, see, Coach Melo, you know me. Melo is my guy, but
I,
you also know I hate Melo. I love him. That's my favorite player, but I hate him. He was a. That's just how he was in his prime. Chris Paul, not Chris. If Chris Paul is not what Melo was when it comes to mentality. You remember Melo, man? I'm not coming off the bench.
I know
Chris Paul not fin. And if he got that mentality, well, how old was Chris Paul? 36, 37?
that's 7 years.
Oh yeah, if he got that mentality at 37, Chris Paul a different person than I thought he was.
Oh, Time will tell, Coach. I don't see it. I don't see it, but time will tell. Coach, man, great episode, man. You know, I love you, man. Coach, go ahead and take your last.
Likewise.
And for those who may be new to it, I know a lot of people are on just to see Coach Dawson, and that's why we got him on. Conclusion is kind of where we allow them, and we call it the last shot, excuse me, but it's the conclusion where we allow our guests to be able to close the show. They might shout somebody out, they might promote something, they may share a thought. And I know Coach knows it because he watched all our episodes. So, Coach, go ahead and take the last shot, brother.
I mean, like I said, it's gonna be named because you know me, Coach. You'll say, "Hey, you remember this person?" I don't remember. So it's gonna be people that I forgot to, even mention as we talk. But I would one person. I talked about my daughter. One person I gotta, always think about just for who I am as a man is my wife. Um, she does that for me. You know what I mean? She makes me a better man, pushes me to be a better man, stays on me, talk to me, however she needs to, because she's my best friend. Another person is my dad. My dad pushed me very, very hard. I know you remember my dad, but my dad is also my best friend because we can talk however we need to talk. He can anybody. I mean, and you know me, I'm a confrontational person because of my dad. So if cause we can sit here and argue about some stuff, but if once we argue, you my guy. You my best friend because we arguing. I mean, you know my best friend Darren Wolf. You know we fought every day. You know what I mean. And my dad was like that. You know, and we talk about when I say go to the bottom just to rise up. He did that for me at a young age. So once I was able to become a man, it was in a different aspect. You know what I mean. But I appreciate my dad for being a man, making sure I had a man in my life because I have seen, and that's why I do what I do is because the reality of it is a lot of black young men don't have a father figure. So the father figure that they do see, it needs to be something that they think that they can be or something that they need. And I was blessed to have my dad growing up, and he was there, and he made me into the man that I am just off of influence and words. Not even talking about other stuff that go on, but just influence, being there, and words, and being tough on me made me a very strong man. So talked about my daughter making me selfless. Talk about my wife being a best friend right now, the person who I talk to every day, and then I talk about my dad for what he did in my upbringing. Of course, my mom, but just trying to stick to one person. I would just talk about a dad bringing a son up. I think that was very important, and I never, always we probably say love you once a week, but I never just always tell him that he did that for me. So that's my last shot.
Hey, man, that's what's up, man. And of course, man, shout out to your brother, man. Of course, we went to school together. Man, shout out to your whole
Oh yeah,
family.
you got yeah. My brother need to be doing that's my guy too.
Yeah, we talked about that, man. And shout out to your administration at Provine, man, for I know the people you work with.
Absolutely, Provine, Morton, Merle, all of those. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So again, excited about it. So as always, man, I'm speechless for words, man, because again, I can't brag enough on this guy and everybody that I bring on, man. So I appreciate everybody's support. Please like, please subscribe, please share, so we can continue to produce great content and we can take this a little bit further than we are right now. And I'm just appreciative of everybody that spends their time listening. And I said this on last time. I know I reached out to a lot of coaches, and we set something up and it didn't work out. And I don't want you to feel like, man, coach might be mad at me. He don't want, hey, if I sent you something out or sent you a script or sent you something and you want to get back in, man, you know how to reach me. And anybody that that want to be a part of this, man, I'm looking forward to it. We're coming up on another school year, so it's gonna be a lot of great things. So Provine community, man, make sure y'all take care of my guy Dawson. I know he's from Murrah High School, 1400. I think y'all what 2400 or something like that now.
Yeah,
That
20, 24, 24. It ain't too much. It ain't too much different.
I know it, man. That's one thing about Provine and Murrah, man. They got the same blueprint of school, man. So represent Ram City, man. I guess I can represent Provine, man. I got somebody over that I care about. So, man, until next time, as I always say, and everybody knows it, man. Be kind and be nice to someone, and we'll see you on the next episode.